Background on this. Back in December, I went to Lexington, Kentucky for the NASCIO conference. It's the National Association of State Chief Information Officers. We are part of it. J.R. Sloan, who's our CIO, is the president of NASCIO right now. So 35 states were in attendance. This was a big topic among every state. So all this information, just remember, 49 other states are going through this just the same as us. Every county, every city, every town is doing exactly this right now. I'm also part of another group with a bunch of IT professionals from other states. This still comes up every week where we're talking about document accessibility for the web, what we can do. And I'm going to show us a little bit of information I learned from there and what we need to do moving forward. So amongst all the state CIOs, accessibility ranked number 6 on their top 10. So that's how important it is. So it's on the radar. Like I said, every state is doing this. So what does the Department of Justice rule require? No, information and communications technology needs to be made acceptable. Every web-based application, internet, video, PDF file, documents, software, anything that essentially you put up on the website needs to be made accessible to all users, is the easiest way to understand this. So for the last couple of years, we've had the big push with Digital Dash on making your websites accessible. You handle the content, we handle the actual code. Same thing goes with your documents. So if you're putting PDF documents on your website, those need to be made accessible. The other big thing I'm just going to throw out there, which I'm going to guess a lot of you probably haven't done or thought of, is your audio files. I know a lot of you guys have like meetings, public meetings. Those need to be recorded, made accessible to the public. Those also need transcripts. So those files need to be made accessible. No, going through Google, you can turn on transcripts. If you haven't done that, Brian Beach he did a write-up on how to use AI to run your audio files and have it transcripted. So just putting that out there, and we'll probably send that information out here too and have that up on the agency platform website. But that's also another thing to think of. So how can we possibly do this? Because some of you guys probably look at your website and already thinking of how many PDF files you have up there. All right. Some of you guys have quite a few PDF files. So the first thing is we have to prioritize them. All right. It's the only way that this is going to happen. Start with anything active. So the description is currently used documents to apply for, gain access to, or participate in services, programs, or activities. That's going to be your fillable PDFs. So if you have fillable PDFs on your website, that should be your first priority. Second priority is going to be any new documents. So any documents you create now going forward. You know what? That is on me. One second. So any new documents going forward should be made accessible. And doing it is not that difficult. It is a couple extra steps. Google has made some improvements with Google Docs over the last couple of months that actually make it a lot easier. So after your documents, you're going to have to start remediating documents that were on the website. And so Again, starting from the most current, going back is how I would suggest you make those changes. Sure.
Howdy, Ralph. So when you say documents, are we talking about PDF documents that aren't fillable, Google documents? What are we talking about documents?
All of it. If it's on your website, it all needs to be made accessible.
Is there any, you're talking about Google right now, so are you saying Google documents don't necessarily uh, don't meet that criteria until just recently?
If you actually have a link directly to a Google document, it's actually just setting it up. But when you created a document in like a Google Doc and you saved it as a PDF, right? Was you went file, download PDF. When Google was doing those exports, they were not the best for accessibility. So a couple of months ago, there was an update which they made really good improvements to it. Not 100%, but they're really good. So I would say anything made, no, any documents you made in the last month going forward are going to be really good, really easy to remediate. But if you did stuff before then, they are going to need to be fixed.
I should say that we have links that go directly to a Google document that's just available to read. It's not a PDF created from the Google Doc. It's just you go to the Google Doc and then you read the instructions.
Yeah, and I'm gonna after this, we're gonna show you in Google Docs how to do that, how to download them, and how to fix them in Acrobat.
Okay, and I do see a lot of other people with comments about all kinds of documents on. Well, I assume you'll probably try to hit all of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do what I can. All right, in the time allotted, I am gonna do the best that I can. So, process. Do an inventory of all the documents you guys have online. The example at the meeting was Rhode Island had 1.1 million documents. They did an audit, removed everything that wasn't needed, and got down to 100,000 documents. Still a pretty good task. But 100,000 is a lot easier to manage than 1.1 million. So that's what I'm going to suggest to everybody. The first thing you do is you look at your website, look at your media library, and see, do you have duplicates up there? If you have duplicates, remove the duplicate. All right. Again, prioritize. No, you're definitely going to have to prioritize this. Retire, replace, and remediate is the order. If it's not needed, remove the document. If it's needed, it needs to be updated. The other option is, does it need to be a document? Some of the agency workflows have it as there's one person that creates the document, they send it to the web person, they take the PDF and they put it up on the website. Somewhere along the line is, does it actually need to be a document? PDF documents aren't easily translatable. So if you have a document that's in 3 different languages, all 3 languages need to be remediated. Where if it's a web page, we can translate a web page. So that's the other idea, is to look at it and go, why was this created as a PDF document? Was it just ease? Was it simplicity? So, and is there an easy way? Not really. There is no one button and it's done. Talking with other states, some other states brought in vendors to help with the documents. There was a couple things with AI. Those still needed a manual review because they weren't 100% accurate. All contributors that create documents need to be part of this. Okay, and this isn't just, hey, we've done it once, we're good, we should be fine. That's not going to be the case. I was talking with an agency, we were taking a look, and when you look at the number of PDFs they had, there were a smaller one. it looked like a lot of documents, but when you broke it down by the number of people that could work on them and the amount of time we had, it ends up being 2, 3, 4 documents a day that really need to be remediated. And once you do this a couple times, it becomes a lot easier to go through, see what the problems are, make the fixes, and re-upload it. So yeah, this is definitely not going to be a one person's going to be assigned it, and this is all they're going to do. We have until, no, was it April 26th? That's the Department of Justice deadline. So, all right. Any questions, or should I look at chat? Kimberly.
Sorry, is it April this year?
Yes. So the deadline is April 26th this year for any, what's the word I'm looking for? Anybody serving over 50,000, an audience of 50,000 or more, and it's April something of next year if you're serving less than 50.
Okay.
But pretty much everyone's going to be over 50,000 for the state. So, and remember, this is Department of Justice guidelines. This doesn't take into account anything from the public, because there have been civil lawsuits going around. Those are different than Department of Justice. Let's see, Regina.
Hi, quick question. Is it possible to have an alternative version of the document? So having two versions, accessible one and a non-accessible one.
I would probably suggest no, because that could lead to confusion.
Okay.
So, I mean, it would probably be easier just to take that document, remediate it, and replace it, and that way there isn't a confusion. Again, no, if someone does a Google search and they hit the document on the Google search, you're not sure which one they're hitting.
Mm-hmm.
So, in this case, I'm always going to suggest, play it on the same side.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Alan.
How you doing? We have a lot of documents, or put it this way, we have a few amount of documents, but a lot of those documents could and often do link to federal documents. So is that something? I mean, I understand that the PDF needs to be remediated, but does that change the way that, is that like something where we would just look at what we have, what our document has and the link, versus trying to see, well, it links to a federal document page. Is that federal document page remediated type of situation?
Yeah, so I mean, you're going to worry about what's on your website, and if it's linking to like the federal document, they're going to be responsible for that document.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah, so same thing. Like if you have an outside vendor and they're giving you information that goes up on your website, ultimately you're responsible for making sure that information is accessible.
Okay, so if we have a PDF that has like several pages and many links to federal documents, then we just need to make sure that all of those pages are accessible that for our PDF.
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And last one is Danita. Then we'll move on.
Hi, Ralph. I was just curious if any of the ADOA shared services agencies are going to have support from the ADOA on this, or are we responsible for our own?
You are responsible for your own.
Okay, thank you.
So, all right, make it quick.
Sorry, Ralph. Are you going to go? You're going to get into this now, so I'll just leave my question out for the moment. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, so no, most of us work with Google Docs, and that's what I'm going to focus on. The DSO office, they have another meeting tomorrow, and I believe Thomas will be going over like Microsoft Word. So if your agency uses Microsoft Word, Thomas will be doing something on that tomorrow, and that is on the training calendar for us. But we're just going to look at Google Docs. So setting up your document is making sure it's just structured correctly. This is going to be one of the big things, using your heading tags. Heading 1, 2, 3, and it needs to go in an order. So in this case, the heading 1 here would be the title. Heading 2 could be heading, and we have these down here. So that right there would function, and then it's just nested. So 1, 2, then we go 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, and 4. So if we nest them correctly like that and actually use our headings, this structure is going to work. What will not work is if I went heading 1 to heading 3. Okay, and we save this out to a PDF file, this will actually give us an error. Okay, the nesting order needs to be 1, 2, 3, and then you can nest inside. Now, does that make sense? All right. Ellen said it made sense, so I'm going with Ellen and Jennifer here. So keeping this structure will make sure that your document is going to be made accessible. And in Google, you now have an accessibility tab. This wasn't up here before. So you have the Verbalize the Screen Reader. So this just changed. Before, it used to be a checkbox. You would have to go in there and just check it to say make it accessible. So we're going to look right here at a fillable form. Or not. Good question, Maria. That is a very good question. Oh, you don't have an accessibility tab. That's interesting. So tools, accessibility, turn on screen reader or support. Thank you, Julie. So you can turn on the screen report, turn on Braille. So I saw one question up with alt text. If you put an image in, you now have alt text. This wasn't there before. So in this case, if we say alt text, I can just say Arizona logo. You can mark it as decorative. If it's an image, you can describe it, and it's just set there. So I just set this up real quick on what it would look like. You would go File, Download the PDF. And yeah, for a logo, you can actually just say logo. You don't actually have to describe a logo. So you can get by just saying Arizona logo. We don't have to say it's the Arizona logo with teal and a huge description. So I download this. It's a PDF form. I went back in here and I actually added the fillable fields. And so there's two things we did check on a fillable PDF. One is the tabbing order. So we got to make sure this tabs in the correct order that the person's going to fill it out. So in this instance, I purposely did this out of order. So if we set this up, the prepare form, and under prepare form, we have all of our fields, and we just want to set this up in the order that the user needs to be able to tab to complete this correctly. So this is going to be the first part. No. And in a PDF, the only thing that's tabbable is either fillable fields or links. So probably shouldn't have messed this up as much as I did. So on and so forth. So now they should be able to tab correctly through the form as the user would. So that's one half. The other half is making sure this is actually accessible. So under the more tools, you'll have accessibility. So it's got its own menu item here. First thing I would recommend when you guys do this, run the accessibility checker. Start checking the form, and it'll come back up. So logical reading order needs to be manually checked. Color contrast needs to be manually checked. These two are always going to pop up. So the tab order failed because I didn't set the rest of these down here. That's fine. I'm going to ignore that for right now. And there's two other issues. So this is what you're going to look at when you run this accessibility check. And if you don't know what any of this means, if you click on accessibility report, you'll see a nice little report here of everything. And if it failed, it'll tell you what failed. Tagged form field failed, and go, I don't know what that means. If you click on it, it'll actually open up to Adobe, come down exactly where it's supposed to know, tagged form fields, and tell you exactly what it is. So this is one nice thing that Adobe has done is made this very simple, very easy to follow through. Same thing with field descriptions. It'll come up and tell you exactly what it is. What does it mean and how to resolve this. So let's start at up. And there's always going to be one that says skip, and that's for tables. I wouldn't say always, unless you actually have a table. So since there is no tables here, it actually skipped over it. Down here it says it's missing a summary. The other thing we're going to check is file properties. So under the file properties, we'll have description. It's going to tell us the file name and then the title. any PDF document that you created that's over 2 months old, this title is going to be missing and you'll get the error there. So, and I got a document up that I'm going to show you guys that on. So go back. So it's file properties. Make sure that the title field is filled out. That's going to be the most important part there. So far, this doesn't throw an error, but under the Advanced tab, there's PDF UA compliance for accessibility. It's marked as none by default. You can turn that on, click OK. If that's set to none, I have not seen that throw an error yet. I haven't seen that cause an accessibility issue, but if you're in there and you're already checking, you might as well turn that on. So the goal is to get this summary to come back up as everything is passed, no failed. So it's saying the tag form fields. Off to your left, you'll have your tags. You click on this, this shows all the tags in the document. The first tag should actually say document. And from there, if you kind of scroll down, you can actually go through all the different fields to make sure everything is there. You can open up the tags, take a look. And this works out because I should have created an error here. If you needed to change a form tag because it's breaking that structure, you can just change it here. So you can actually just retag it here real quick and make it an H2, make it an H3, whatever needs to be done. So I can come down, make these H3s if needed to, and that would actually fix accessibility if I had that error. I saw a question where someone said, what happens if there's no fillable fields and it's just a regular document? That's what this is. This is just a regular document. Was created, no, it's a Google Doc template. And there actually is an error in this one. So you would still come in, check the properties. Now, proper titles in place. Advanced, I can set the advanced here. Click OK, and then I can run accessibility check. And here we go. Appropriate nesting failed. So if I click on them, I can see where they failed at. I can go back to the Google Doc and make the change there, or I can make the change directly here in the tags. So, and the nesting failed because objectives is marked as an H1 in Google, and it jumps right down to an H3. So it skipped H2. So just changing those over should fix that. And I missed one. Right here. Go back, check it again. And now that's all passed. The appropriate indexing is passed. The other remaining two issues, the logical reading order and the color contrast. Logical reading order. Over in your accessibility tab, you have the reading order. And when you click on it, it'll pop up and it kind of tells you what the logical reading order is. And because you've got to have a panel for everything, you can open it up and take a look. So if this is out of order, you can just drag it up. And place everything back in the order that it needs. And this is just a manual review. And we'll go through each page. You can check it. This document has tables. So if you right click, you can say edit table summary and add a summary for the table. This is for accessibility for tables. You just want to summarize what's actually in the table, especially if it's an image. You want to have it there and tell people what that image is. Same thing with the table. So if we run the accessibility check again, I know the logical reading order is marked, so I can actually say pass. Color contrast, it's going to be a visual check. That's a pass. And if we look at the accessibility report, we're seeing that there is no failed, 29 items passed, 1 skipped, which is still tables. Nothing failed manually, 2 are passed manually, and nothing else needs checked. At that point in time, this document is done. So I purposely used a template doc because they do have problems. But if you keep the structure pretty simple, and I think I checked some people's current sites with their PDF files, the structures were fine. As long as you follow this basic structure, you're going to be okay. So any questions on that? So I saw some stuff in chat and I couldn't read fast enough. Kat.
So clearly there's a lot of steps, very meticulous and time consuming to make these fillable PDFs accessible, which I understand and I get the process. But my question becomes, for those of us who have forms that if you Google search, our old forms ping back so that the accessibility forms are not the first things that come up. I don't know how many times I've tried to get them removed from Google searches, but I definitely don't want us to be penalized when we actually have gone through this entire process, made the accessibility PDF, posted it to our website, but Google keeps pinging back the old form that is not accessible and it is not appropriate. Is our Google team here at ADOA going to help us to mitigate this so that we are not unnecessarily hit with suits that have no foundation because we actually have the form on our website? Because I can see how people get frustrated if they get the wrong form.
Yeah.
Especially after we put all this work into it. So I would love to have that assistance because I'm sure I'm not the only one whose old forms populate first.
Yeah, so if you find something like that and it's through Google and you're on an agency platform website, put a ticket into us with the file name, preferably the whole URL that it's coming back as. We can go back in, find them, and then delete them out.
Okay, so anyone who does that Google search, they won't see these old forms anymore. They'll see the new form.
Yeah, so what's happening is because no, Google runs a scan on the website, it crawls everything. So if it's no from migrations got extra files up there still, Google's going to find them. So if you look for a no the name of the file, Google can return every version back, even though you only have that one on the website. And there's also another place on the website to look. But if you're going, hey, we can't find this, it's Google's telling us this file is here, put a ticket in, send us the URL. We can go in and have other places where we can double check to make sure it's going to get removed.
Because I can imagine this is going to be a very lengthy list for all of us who have to do that, to remove the older versions and update the new ones, which again, it's necessary. I
Yeah.
understand that, but that's going to be a lot of tickets.
Yeah, and we have an idea on how I'm going to say it's an idea on how we want to help you out with that. So it's just going to take Danielle, myself, and Sam a little time to kind of get prepared for that because we can see everything on the website and we see the back end. And we're just trying to figure out what's going to be the easiest, fastest, least complex way where we can assist you with that. So, we get the frustration and we're trying to help out as much as possible because a lot of these websites have been up for a long time and sometimes when a file gets updated, it just gets updated. No, it's not getting removed. So, and we understand that things have piled up and we're trying to figure out the best plan to assist in that. Let's see. Kurt.
Thanks, Ralph. So I know a number of years ago, I think it was Pantheon, would basically, because this was made for my attention years ago before it became like this crazy federal mandated thing. It basically was a program, I think it was Pantheon, that would basically scour the whole website and just let me know what PDFs are not accessible, and then I would hunt them down. Is that still available, that kind of tool?
We had it on the Acquia Web Governance, which used to be Optimized, which used to be Moncito. The problem was we're limited to 50,000 files and documents. And I think we got crushed by one of the bigger websites where we hit the peak and that was it.
Okay, so that was like across all agencies, I suspect.
Yeah, so we didn't even make it through one agency without a limit.
Okay. That's unfortunate. That was very useful to pick out those little things.
Yeah, and to give you guys an idea, like my Acrobat, I had to revert back to the previous look because I was doing a batch scan, and I had pulled a bunch of websites about pulled out a bunch of files from their website because I was curious to see what the batch scan would look like, and every document I hit had a problem. So, but the cool part is I'm going to show you guys how to remediate these really quickly. And I'm going to pick on the dental board here. So this was pulled, I think it was from May of last year. Yeah, May. So it's not that old. And if we check the more tools, check the accessibility, and run the accessibility check, we're going to see all the errors it's throwing. So again, logical reading order needs to be manually checked. Primary language and title failed. Expecting those because this is before Google making the updates to Google Docs. Tagged content failed. Annotations failed. All right. So it's filling everywhere. No big deal. So first thing, go to properties. We'll check that, the file properties. We'll look at the description and the title's missing. Because I know Google just didn't do this part. Give it the title that it's supposed to be. Under advanced, since I'm here, I am going to set the PDF UA compliance. And under reading options is your language. And you would set it to English. Doing this the first couple times is probably the longest, most tedious, but once you do this, now you get through a couple of forms, this does get a lot easier. And honestly, I probably wouldn't be checking this as much as I was if I was just going through documents. So, yep, the title passed, primary language passed, cool. Tagged content. All right, and by tag content is coming into your tags, taking a look here. Nice thing is the opening tags the document, so that's a plus. I am not going to sit here and try and clean all this up. I would just come up to auto tag and tell it to auto tag, which means Adobe's going to go through this and figure everything out for me. It does take a little bit of time. So it retags everything for me. Cool. Come on. So they have headers here on every page. Is it every page? No. Just the first couple. Cool. And so what I want to do is actually come into the tagged area, find it, and I should have my come into properties, alt text for images. And set them on each one. Same thing for the signature here. Click on it, right click, click properties. And sometimes it's just trying to figure out where that image is. So I'm just doing that real quick. Now we're just back to our logical reading order and our color contrast. So doing it, no, makes it really quick, really easy to go through, and I can come back up and show my reading order and make any changes that I need to make here. Call it good. So if I wanted to replace this on their website, I would probably, save it as, give it just a slightly different title so I can definitely see on the website that it's been done. Wait for Adobe here. I would probably do something R so I know it's been remediated. And on the dental board's website, because I'm going to pick on them some more. If I come up to Content, media, media library. I would find the file, click on the pencil. Not the MP3. Go back, find it, and you have a replace file option. I can click choose file, pick the new file, and it'll replace it on the website. It does take a little time for it to update because of all the caching. Now we got caching on the website. Caching on the server and the caching in Cloudflare. So yeah, you can go back to the original file if you still have the original file, remediate there. Two ways of doing it. So some files you might be able to find the originals for, some people might not, depending on who did them, where they were saved, stuff like that. So several different options. On your website, if you don't see the file replaced, put a ticket in. It's there, it just might not have been configured. So, I mean, that's a lot to go over in a short period of time. A good resource that I found for all this that actually is probably been the most useful was a guy on YouTube called the Accessibility Guy. All he does is accessibility stuff. Yeah, going through different, Google Doc, Microsoft Word, Excel, all that stuff, the PDFs. He does a lot of really good videos and very easy to understand. Sometimes he does go a little fast, but very good resource to look up. His name is the Accessibility Guy. Judy, question?
Yeah, hi Ralph. When you use this function after you've done all of your checking on the document itself and you're re-uploading it, and you use the replace, that utilizes the previous links, so your documents aren't suddenly all different links and you're breaking links all over your site. Is
Correct.
that fair?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So it'll replace that document. Easiest way to do it, like I said. The only downfall with all the caching we have on the site, the server, and Cloudflare, and even down to your own browser, it can take a little bit of time for you actually see that's been updated. I would suggest after about 20 minutes checking it in an incognito browser.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it looks like there's a couple of resources being placed in chat. But like I said, doing the first couple ones probably the longest as you kind of get used to it. But after a while, it does get pretty quick and pretty easy to do. But it is going to be a little time consuming to go through the entire website. Tracy.
Yes, my question is, if we go through the accessibility process on, say, a Word document, and then we save that as a PDF, is the PDF accessible, or do we have to do an accessibility check on that too?
I would suggest, I know Word has more options in it to make it more accessible as you convert it to a PDF. My thing would be, I mean, if you're comfortable, I don't know, doing it in Word and it's going to be accessible out of it, you probably wouldn't have to. I'm not going to tell you that you have to do it. I mean, I'd probably do it on the first couple just to make sure, but if you're comfortable,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. So, yeah, I can't tell you yes or no. Any other questions? Any other concerns? So, I mean, for some, it's going to be a lot to get through as everybody's trying to hit that April 26th deadline. Kurt?
So this is probably more for a question for my AAG, but transcripts of recordings, if we have PDF minutes and whatnot written out, does that suffice? Or because if somebody wants to hit the recording and they're deaf, they need to have that transcribed?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So, and yeah, we'll get that up on the agency platform website, though, right up that Brian did on using AI to generate that transcript, because nobody wants to listen to an entire meeting recording and trying to transcribe that.
Yeah, I'm still feeling like when I talk to the AAG about that, because even with the AI, you're kind of like, is it going to be captured? Do we need to have some kind of thing beforehand, like, hey, this was transcribed by Google, and reader beware.
That is a really good comment, and the answer is yes. And it's in the accessibility chat. We'll put it back in the accessibility chat so it's a little bit more visible to everybody. But yeah, but there is a phrase that you will use that says this has been transcribed by whatever AI, and it's just a disclaimer saying that. So, and I think that is a rule that we need to follow. It's a state rule when AI is used.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. 1 second, Shannon. All right, Justin isn't on. Justin would know that rule or that policy more than I would. Shannon.
Hey, so I'm just like struggling a little bit with things that we are linking to from other sites that we don't control. Like all of our board meetings are live streamed on YouTube. Do I need to be going to YouTube and making sure that their site is accessible? How would I even check for that? Like that's just one example, but like I don't know how to try and take ownership of the accessibility of other sites, or even how I check and make sure their stuff is accessible if we're linking to it.
Yeah, so try to answer this in the most concise way. Yeah, so if you have like the meetings up on YouTube and YouTube's got the closed captioning, you would just go through to make sure that their closed captioning is correct.
So we have to do that for every board meeting we've ever had on YouTube, and we have to rewatch those videos to make sure closed captioning is correct.
I probably wouldn't rewatch them all. I would probably skim it, but that's me.
Okay. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of hours long meetings.
Yep.
Like we've been on YouTube since I think 2016.
Alternatively, if there is programs where, and I don't remember which ones we have approved with the state, but you can get a program to kind of go through that and automatically make the closed captioning. Usually YouTube does pretty good if you have it enabled. But alternatively, if YouTube isn't working well with it, just have a link to a page that gives a transcript of some form. But there are tools out there that can help watch those for you.
Okay, that feels like a monumentally undoable task. But like in general, like how do I know that the YouTube platform that we're linking to is accessible? Like how do I take responsibility for checking for that? I mean, YouTube's a pretty big example, but like we link to other sites all the time for stuff. Am I supposed to run a website accessibility scanner on their sites? I was in a training with Justin last week where he told us we literally weren't allowed to scan other people's websites. So I don't know
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
we
and
work
you
around
wouldn't. Yeah, you wouldn't. So, I mean, once they leave your control and you're linking out to another website, they would need to make sure that their information is accessible.
Do they know that? Is it my job to tell them that?
If it's a vendor, then yes, you would need to tell them that. You would, I mean, if you're going out to like a vendor website or you have a vendor working on it, it should be their responsibility to make it accessible, but you would need to tell them that.
Okay. So like in the example with YouTube, is YouTube a vendor? Like that's a free platform. We don't have a contract with YouTube. That's just where board meetings are publicly accessible through.
Yes. I am going to go out on a limb and say right now that YouTube is probably accessible because of how big they are.
Sure. That's just like the
They,
first example that's kind of coming to mind. Like we have other similar sites though where they're not our vendor. We don't pay them. We're not contracted with them. I don't know how to force them to do this if they're not already. I mean, we do have a board meeting materials website that obviously we are contracted with. Them I can go check and validate and make sure that they're doing the things because we're paying them. But for free sites that we're not paying for, how do I compel them to do anything with this?
yeah, and that's probably going to be a gray area. Shoot me a message and I will talk to Justin about that because reading the DOJ rules isn't as simple as finding the information and seeing what they're saying. Half of it is also finding the information and figuring out what they're not saying.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even reading through the exceptions on the DOJ rule website are super confusing. I mean,
yeah.
I would argue probably the majority of our public meetings that are on YouTube are not actually actively being used. They're there because they happened and because they were public and we've just left them there and it's an archive. Do I have to go back for all those and create transcripts for archived things that are not actively being used anymore but are available to the public?
And here's the thing with the archive. And again, this is one of the things where you're looking at it and you have to figure out what the DOJ is not saying. It actually has to be on the website under a section that says archived. So even though it's 7 years old and you go, well, it's kind of archived, it has to fit a certain format for it to fit the archive tab. And that's been raised a lot. So my suggestion would be is if it's no longer needed, no longer relevant, and outside the window for retention rules, I would get rid of it and not make it publicly available. No, if it's on YouTube and you're like, these meetings, they're past the retention laws, we don't need them, I would unpublish them and not even worry about them then.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So yeah, because reading the rules, and again, it's reading the Department of Justice rules. They're basically saying, yeah, if it's up and it's available, unless it meets a small criteria, it needs to be made accessible.
Okay. I am processing a lot. All right, but I do not need to continue to air my wild brain on this call with everyone else, so I'm good. Thank you.
Heather.
Well, thanks, Ralph. Hey, so on that kind of similar subject of where our responsibility starts and ends, really. So, I mean, I think you're going to get some clarification on it. I kind of decided if I'm linking to someone else's website, it's their responsibility. They're going external. They're not a vendor of mine that I control. And that was my determination. But I do have a vendor that I do link to, and I did start having conversations with them about the accessibility, but I obviously don't have control over their product. I mean, we do have a contract with them, right? So like while you're gathering more information, can we get like some kind of guideline on that specifically? Because I mean, I can't control their product, right?
Yeah.
And I know that they're in the middle of making some accessibility changes, because when we talked about it, they told me that they had stuff coming up, but it's not coming out until after our deadline. So, and I have no other way to, like, I can't just disconnect it. It's the entire transparency portal for the state of Arizona, right? That's where the data is. So
Yeah.
could you help get some clarification on that?
Yeah, and
Danielle saying maybe make a disclaimer. I don't even, is there a way that I can run through their site as a visibly disabled? I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So do we have screen readers that we can use to see if it's, am I making sense?
you are making sense.
Danielle can help with that.
Yeah, Danielle can help with that before I just toss her under the bus on that one. Yeah, I mean, Microsoft has a built-in screen reader. Again,
You know that we're a Google shop, not a Microsoft shop, right?
OS.
Okay. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm team Microsoft all the way, Ralph. So if you want to tell everybody that I need all Microsoft products completely 100% on my computer, I'm more than happy for you to do that.
No, but like Windows 10, Windows 11 does have a built-in screen reader.
Oh, gotcha. Thanks.
There's that. Yeah, they won't let us go to Linux, sorry. But there are some accessibility plugins for the browsers that you can use, that you can check. And to be honest, I don't think it's going to be April 27th. Department of Justice is going to scan every, state, city, county website in one shot and find everything wrong and be like, hey, you guys missed the deadline. Because they're going to hit everybody.
Right. No, but here, Ralph, I didn't even hear about us needing to do this until that December meeting kickoff. I never even heard anything from leadership whatsoever on this particular subject. And now we're getting all kinds of notifications. No offense, you guys are doing a really good job scaring all of us because federal regulations and you're going to get fines, right? And so, but I'm like, no offense, Ralph, I'm in the middle of like the largest project of my entire career that I've ever worked for the state. And now I have to go and fix a bunch of stuff on a website.
Yeah, and we started this back in 2020, really, with the push when we were going to the new platform. We had talked about it then. I know Justin has been running the digital DAS accessibility trainings for at least 2 years now. So we've had pushes, and so yeah, we kind of did the scared straight thing where we're like, all right, let's make sure we grab everybody's attention. So, and again, Heather, there is no way one person is going to get through all this by themselves.
Well, unfortunately, I have to, Ralph, because I'm the only person that can do the stuff on the website in my area. So, sorry, I don't really have much of a choice, but I did put PDFs and Google Forms and stuff back on the people that are required to do them. So, okay, thanks, Ralph. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And
Judy.
Danielle, I'll follow up with you for that screen reader tutorial, please.
Sounds good.
All right, Judy.
So you mentioned finding the documents that we no longer are required to have on our website. And if we're in our media library and we just unpublish them, does that suffice? Is that all we need to do on those documents?
I'm a big fan in deleting stuff. No, the website isn't there for retention. So technically this stuff should be backed up, like Google Drive or something like that. What I would do, let me go back. I'm not going to do this to the dental board site, since this is their live site. Yeah. So I would come up and delete it. And there's two parts, which is kind of frustrating. So you can delete it here. It's still on the site, but if you come down to File, you should see all the different files. And you can delete it here. So this is another place I would check if you're going to, I see this file here. Now come up here to content, files, and do a search through here and delete it.
So wait, things have to be deleted in two places?
Yeah, because there's a media library which makes it accessible in multiple spots. And then there's the file library where it hosts everything. And what's going to happen is sometimes, let's say I don't want to do this. This file, if I try to delete it, it won't let me because it's saying it's used in one spot. Click the checkbox, come down to actions and say force delete. And that will delete it out because it thinks it's being used somewhere. And these all say they're being used in one place because they are being used in the media library. Let me see. So right here are 0 places. This isn't being used anywhere. This can be deleted. Same thing. It's not, and again, I don't know if it's actually needs to be deleted, but it could be. And this is where I would check. And you could actually just check multiples, click force delete, and then make sure it gets wiped off the site.
If you delete from the file library, does that override something also being in the media library?
Yeah, it'll take it out of the media library. So
you actually only need to be checking the file library. And if you delete out of there, it will clear the other place. But if you do media first, you have to do media and then also do file library.
Correct, because if it's being used in one place and it's looking like it's in the media library, you have to do force delete and it is deleted. All right, Kat.
Oh, man. I wanted to know, like, roughly how long should we expect to hear back about our Google Forms that we use? Because our agency uses Google Forms quite heavily. And so I know you all need to like research that and get back to us. But obviously, as we're like, frantically trying to go through things and updating things and whatnot to make them accessible, I just wanted to know when we should follow back up or circle back around if we haven't heard back.
With Google Form, I will take a look at those and I will post back into the accessibility chat. Let me make a note here.
Because we use the Google Forms quite a bit for like written comment for our board meeting, for a request to speak. I use them for our appeals for 2 different topics. So that's why I wanted to know, do I need to start making fillable PDF versions of these or?
No, I would suggest staying with Google Forms. And if it's a Google product, I'm going to assume it's probably going to be that pretty simple, just making sure that it is accessible, clicking off that accessibility. But I won't tell you for certain just because I haven't looked at Google Forms in quite a while. But I will go ahead and take a look at the Google Forms and the accessibility that they need, and then post back into the Google chat or into the accessibility chat.
Thank you.
Shannon.
Sorry, I'm back again. First of all, how do I get added to this accessibility chat? Do I need to request that? Can you guys just add me?
Have you heard anything about these? Every time I drive by here.
Same. I want to be added too.
Hey, Danielle, can you find the link to that?
Anything in those right?
You could browse spaces too, I'm sure.
Wow, I don't even know what Spaces is.
No, you're good. Okay. Has anyone talked to you about this PDF accessibility?
Janice, you are unmuted, just so you know. Okay, and then the other question I have, this feels like a lot of I don't know what I don't know. And obviously you guys are trying to serve the whole state with this issue. Can I like set up time to have someone, like, this sounds cheesy, but hold my hand and walk me through like how do we even start approaching all this? I feel like I'm still not even grasping all the things I need to be doing to meet this deadline. And I'm really worried about that and me kind of being responsible for my very small agency for this and just not knowing what I don't know.
Yeah.
Like obviously you guys are trying to serve a lot of us and like these trainings are helpful, but like I sort of feel like I need to sit down with someone and like walk through everything that's on my site and the types of things that we have on there and why they're there, and make sure I'm understanding what I need to be doing correctly.
Yeah. I'm not ignoring you. I'm thinking right now.
No, you're good.
I'm being silent.
I know it's a very big ask.
Yeah.
Because it's not the first question. Let's maybe let's make like a booking with time slots dedicated to that, and that might help.
Yeah, and I'm thinking you're right on that, Danielle. And I was just trying to think of the best way to organize and say this all at one time because I was watching everybody else's reaction. Yeah.
I do have a question. Does ADOA have a list for like each of the agencies that shows, you know, any kind of preliminary audit they've done on accessibility so that we have some guidance or direction for where to look within our websites, our agency websites? It just seems a little broad. Doable, we'll get it done, but if there was some additional guidance or if someone already knew something or if there was a way for ADOA to run some kind of quick audit and then let us know, hey, go look at these areas.
Yeah, for the websites, yeah, we have the Acquia web governance tool, which scans the website pages, but for documents, we don't have a tool. So,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, and going back to Shannon, I think we should, Danielle, do you think we should just make a count have available so people do?
We can do that, or we can just take over the 2 monthlies that we have and just use that time towards it, because that's way more important than 999 training.
And for the continuing accessibility, we might do that. Yeah, we'll do that, Danielle. We'll put together a calendar so one of us can be there. And that way, when if people have questions, they can go to the calendar, schedule it, and someone can show up and again walk you through things, help you out, help you understand what's going on, and just make it easier for you.
So that would be super helpful because yeah, I feel like I'm airing a lot of very weird niche use cases in here that might touch some people, but also are probably very specific to us. And I don't want to waste everyone else's time here and like ask questions that people don't care about. But I definitely feel like I need more hand holding.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, so the link to the accessibility chat was posted in chat, and we'll put the link in chat, and we'll probably send an email out to everybody too, everybody in the user group, letting them know that this calendar is available. That way, when people schedule it, they can bring everybody with them, and we can walk through like an agency at one time and make sure we're all on the same page. That's our plan, and that's what we're going to go with. So Danielle, write that down. Yeah, so going to you, Regina, on your question in chat, the technical answer is yes. So the question is, do all documents on the website need to be made accessible no matter how old or how long the document's been online? And technically, yes, unless it fits a very small criteria for it to be archived. But the answer would be yes. And my suggestion is, no, do the audits, If those documents are no longer required to be on the website, I would get them off. So. Martin.
Hi, random one. So I was going through my media library. One of the things we do have is like images of our product label. So ideally, that would need to become accessible. So I can't really do that as a PNG. Would I just like upload a different PDF file of the label? Or I don't know if I need to make an image accessible or how that all works.
If it's just an image, you would just need to make sure it has the alt text. Come over here. Come in the library. Find an image. Now click into the image. And here is the alt text. So you would just need to make sure that this alt text was correct. I don't like that one. But yeah, that's what you would need to do for an image.
Okay, so just have a brief description of what the actual image is, explaining like product label, things like, okay.
So.
And then another quick one, was there any other, because I was checking my emails and I didn't have anything from digital.gov since 7/25, and then I saw the one this year January 8th. Was there anything in between I missed on all this, or I barely joined that chat thing, but
yeah, there should have been, because I know we had trainings up through beginning of November, and notifications would have gone out then.
okay.
So.
All right, and then yeah, I guess just let me know when you guys do the hand holding thing, and I'll probably be in that same boat.
Okay, yeah, so we'll make sure we get that put together this afternoon, and again, get that into the chat so people know and people can start scheduling.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
So, all right. I would like to thank you, everybody that showed up, everybody that stuck around, asked questions. And again, however you're feeling, there's 49 other states feeling the exact same way. So you're not alone. And we'll get that posted. And again, if you have questions, you can hit the accessibility chat, and a lot of people there, a lot of knowledge. But thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks. Look forward to that.